Welcome into the Vestavia Hills City Schools podcast. I'm Whit McGee.
And I'm Brooke Whitworth.
And we are here closing out the first month of the school year, August.
I know. Where did August go?
It went quick, that's for sure.
It's been very hot.
Absolutely, but a great time to be inside, to be in the schools, and to see all the great things that have been going on. And Brooke, I know you've been out and about and just seeing lots of good teaching and learning going on.
Yes, I've enjoyed just being in classrooms the past few weeks, checking on our new teachers and even some of our veteran teachers, being with our teachers in different PD and meeting sessions already. So it's exciting to see the kids back in school and to see what's happening in all of our schools and classrooms.
Yeah, so many smiling faces. My daughter, of course, is one of them. I mean, she just loves being at school, which is just such a blessing. I mean, wow. Amazing that she's having a good experience, but it just speaks so much to the tremendous amount of effort that our teachers and our support staff put into making school a memorable and a special experience for our students. And you might learn a thing or two along the way as well. So Ali Pilcher is with us today with Vestavia Hills Community Partners. Ali, how's your school year starting off?
You know, I have a fifth grader and a third grader at Dolly Ridge Elementary, and my fifth grader has come home every day with giant smiles on her face, talking about the singing that her teacher's doing and just how she's laying out the rules, but they don't even know that they're rules because she's doing it in such a loving and storyteller way. My third grader comes home talking about the baked goods that her teacher is bringing in because they're being such a sweet class. So she's bringing them sweets, and so they could not be happier. So it's been a great start of the year.
All right. So when we finish up, can you tell me what class this is so I can go get in on the baked goods?
Absolutely. Yes.
Nice. Well, good deal. Well, we're really thrilled to have you here with us today. Again, with community partners here in Vestavia Hills. We will talk about what that is here in a few minutes. But first, for folks who may not know you, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, where you are now, just how you got involved in the school system.
Well, so I graduated from Vestavia Hills High School long ago. Some of my favorite teachers are either still there or I see them walking the dogs in the neighborhood. I went to Auburn and I graduated in political science, thought I wanted to go the law route, and just decided after just didn't enjoy that classwork that was not what I wanted to do. So I went to the fifth year program at UAB and got my master's in education, and I taught at Hoover High School for 9 years, and I sponsored the SGA, which we ran all of the events. So we did the school spirit, we did the awards day, we did away trips for the athletic department, all the dances, you name it. And so I had my first child, and the Lord just had different plans for me than to go back to school. And so as soon as Avery enrolled at Dolly Ridge, I was on the hospitality committee the first year for Dolly Ridge. And so we were kind of just making it work throughout the year. And I loved my time there. And then that spring, I was nominated to be president-elect for PTO. So I served as president-elect the COVID year. And so Laura Brantley, who was my president, we were kind of the two parents that were allowed to be in the school. So I really got to be super involved and just appreciate all that was going on. And then I was president. And then during my president year, we had just in our president meetings with Catherine Gorham with the PTO Council, we started talking about how can we get businesses more involved? How can we get the Chamber of Commerce more involved? And so I opened my big mouth, and what do you know? They created a position for a VP of fundraising community partners. And so our first basically action was to take what was formerly known as PI, or Partners in Education, and kind of change that up and bring it up to current speed. And so just to kind of tell you what PI is, PI started as a Leadership Vestavia Hills project. And so it was a way to bring in all of the businesses and just appreciate them on the whole versus on a local PTO level. And that had just kind of become a confusing group. People thought that PI was an actual organization, or they thought that they needed to join PI to be involved in the school. And then they found out there's not PI, and there was no central place to find what PI meant. And so our first order of business was we sat down with Michelle Hawkins at the chamber, and we said, what would you think if we we didn't have the chamber luncheons anymore that recognize these businesses, but we brought them into the schools instead. And so that's where we started this coffee in classrooms. So we do that monthly. We'll have Cahaba Heights Elementary on the 26th. And I have gone a really long way about where I am. I've gone off on a really big tangent. So anyway,
What
I'll
a
stop
journey.
there. I'll stop there.
It's because you're excited about it.
I
am. Well, we're certainly thankful that you ended up in the community or back in the community. Obviously, you served a good bit of time in the classroom, and running SGA is definitely a very, very busy role in addition to teaching.
I
But we're
always
thankful.
joked that was like my real job.
Yeah.
I was like,
that's a
teaching is
full-time
my
job.
secondary
No.
job. And I taught psychology, so it was always really fun. And so I'd be like, okay, how can I tie this psychology lesson into making a backdrop for a dance? Because I've got to do two things at
Yeah,
once.
that is a full-time job for sure. Well, like I said, we're thankful that you're here in this role and obviously have so much excitement for this. But why do you think community involvement and engagement is so important to our school system?
I'm a word. I think community involvement is everything. I think people move here for the schools, and I think businesses move here for the families that are involved in those schools. And so I think when you can put the three together and put the schools, the families, and the community businesses together, I think it's a win-win for everybody.
You know, we talk about Whit in our mission statement, unparalleled community support. In fact, it's something that we really talk about and with our new teachers when they first come in. And I think for many of them, they have an idea of what that looks like. But until you're here and really in the community or working in the school system, you really don't get it until then. And it's just amazing. I mean, how many community partners and the involvement and the parents and the PTA, all the organizations and just the support that we really, really have in the school system.
Yeah, for sure. It makes such a difference, and it's there's so many different ways in which people pour into the community. So I want to come back to that in a minute. But you did mention something just a second ago, Ali, which is that this was previously Partners in Education, and you're right. As I think about that, the history of it, it was a great idea from leadership at
Great
Vestavia
idea.
Hills. Phenomenal idea. But there wasn't really a centralized way to get involved. And so I think that I may have, my senses created some confusion among people that wanted to be involved or wanted to see an opportunity to join in and participate in what we were doing. So how does that look now for somebody that wants to be involved? Can you talk about maybe some of the other things that may have changed or evolved as a result of that change in branding and in everything that's going on with it?
So the biggest thing is we just wanted to make it community. And so where PI was Partners in Education, we loved that these businesses were coming in and partnering, but there was still that lack of like true feeling like you're a community where you're all on board with everything. And it was because there was just a not centralized person in charge of PI, and each school did it totally different. And so now you have community partners. And so you partner. Well, the first thing we did was we started what's called council level community partners. And so we had businesses that they partnered with all of our school campuses. And so we now had the offering where we had a person sitting on PTO council that could go out and say, hey, you are sponsoring the majority of our schools. Why don't you partner with all of them and become a council level partner? And so that's what we've done. So that was started this year. And so that really came out of that coffee in classrooms. And that was the individual businesses were being invited by the chamber to come in and eat breakfast in each of our school campuses. And it was hugely successful. And we brought in new businesses. We brought faces together, and, it was great.
Well, we've got a great list here of community partners that have already joined up, and I know some others that may be looking into that. But Ashley Max, Bandwagon Sports, Davenport's Pizza, and Troops Pizza. And so it's great to see their involvement, and I know that you're seeking some others to join up with this too. This coffee in classrooms thing, I want to come back to that real quick because this sounds like something that is giving these businesses and supporters of the school system an opportunity to see firsthand what's happening and learn more about the needs within the schools.
So every month, the PTO Council partners with the Chamber of Commerce. And the Chamber of Commerce, they send out an invitation to all of their membership, and it is at one of our 9 campuses. It's from 8:30 to 9:30 in the morning. You get breakfast, and you get to meet administrators. You get to meet teachers, you get to meet counselors, you get to meet service dogs, And then you get a tour from students. And so you're seeing the building, you're learning about the building, and then you're also talking to the PTO members and kind of finding out what are the needs in that school. You said community, how does Bandwagon tie in? Bandwagon does all of our spirit shops, and they are super gracious in the way that they set them up for us. They basically let you pay through them, and then they offer pickup at their local new Cahaba Heights. Ashley Max is our first platinum, which means they are giving $13,500 into our schools. And so they have given each of our 9 campuses $1,500 to spend. And so a lot of that was used at the first of the year meals. Same with Troops and Davenports. And so as many ways as these businesses pour into our teachers, any money that comes in from a business, whether it's in kind and they're giving a goods or a service, or it's cash, it goes right back into the classroom, because anything you're not spending goes into teacher grants. And so that turns into, things that they can't buy with their teacher money, for lack of a better word. And so it's just a lot of opportunity for anyone. And that would be a real estate agent, a bank, a doctor's office. Anybody can find a place in one of our schools for sure.
So what's the plan for community partners this year and even in coming years? So maybe what are some of the goals that you have in maybe developing for the future? And then how's it going so far?
So our biggest goals is when we were going through fundraising last year, we realized that on the elementary level, you can fundraise by just asking people just to show up. But when you get into the middle school and high school, you've got athletics, you've got band, you've got choir, and it is really hard to get parents truly plugged in to the PTO, which partners right alongside with classrooms. And so one of our biggest goals was to get more partners into the high school and middle school. So that's where this council level came, because if you sign up for a council level, you are partnering with all 9 schools. And we say 9, just the high school and freshman campus. But you're partnering with all those schools, not just East or not just Liberty Park. And so that has been a huge goal. And we were able to get Ashley Max in all 9 of our schools, which had not ever happened. Troops, Davenport, same thing. And I think the other really neat thing is you've got a business that is in Cahaba Heights that is partnering with a school that is on, the far side of 31. Mm-hmm. And so that is just really the reach of our community is growing. And so that is a goal. It's like, let's get some of these businesses in Liberty Park to tie over to this side of 31, or let's get some of these 31 businesses to tie into our Liberty Park community. And so that's been a huge push, and that will continue to be. And so hopefully our reach of community will just continue to expand, and some of these businesses that don't know how to get involved in school can find an outlet in one of these schools, a career day, or just finding out more and getting their name on the back of a T-shirt that 700 kids are going to be wearing around town.
I think that's something that just what you said, Ali, is a great point. And that is that we are working throughout all grade levels to provide students with more career exposure and gain an understanding of the many opportunities out in the workforce that there are for students, and how their education that they're getting, even in the early grades, is preparing them and setting them up for success in those different fields. And this is one place where businesses can really be a big support.
For sure. I mean, I can just think firsthand experience. We brought junior achievement into Dolly Ridge last year. The first people that were reached out to were community partners. And that was because they'd already had a buy-in to our community, to our Dolly Ridge community. So those were the first. And so just showing how many ways just getting involved in the school can be mutually beneficial to the kids, to the teachers, to the business. It's pretty incredible.
All right. So I want to kind of give us an opportunity for a call to action here. If you're a business owner, or you manage or work with some business in a way that is positioned to support the school system in some way through community partners, how can they get involved?
Well, so I will give you my email address. And so it is alipilcher@gmail.com. And I would love for a business that's just like, I want to get involved, but I don't even know where to plug in. Email me. I will put you in touch with a PTO president. I will put you in touch with someone at the central office that can get you plugged in. But we have a need for all kinds of things. And so if you have the want, we will find you a way.
So, Ali, I know you've mentioned businesses who obviously have donated money, and even some who've been involved with junior achievement. But just for people who are listening, what are all the ways they could really partner with us? So if it's not maybe a donation, what are some of the other things they could do as a community partner?
So obviously, I mean, donations are great, and those fund PTO events, those fund teacher grants, those fund, if you have a principal that has a special project that they need help with, it'll fund that kind of thing. But also we have in-kind, and that can be anything from like an auction item for a fundraiser. It can be providing the chalk for a fun run. It can be providing bags for swag bags for new families. It can be Frisbee for a Frisbee golf. We have a whole giant box of Frisbees that were donated that were just for a brand new Frisbee golf. Really, there are so many ways. I mean, we would also welcome any ideas. Like if there's a way that you think your business could benefit a school, you have different classes at the high school. And I know as a high school teacher, I would have loved for a medical professional to reach out and say, hey, I would love to come speak to your psychology class about the effects of A, B, and C.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I would love, I think there's a lot of ways we can partner with teachers that we haven't even thought of.
Yeah, even the business and entrepreneurship stuff that's going on at the high school. I mean, those students are hungry to hear from business leaders in our community about how they got their start, where they are now, what they need to do as students to prepare.
Totally agree.
So yeah, lots of opportunities there. So thank you for the email address, alipilcher@gmail.com for Vestavia Hills Community Partners. And thank you so much for joining us on the show today.
Thank y'all for having me.
All right. Thank you for listening to the podcast. We'll talk to you again soon.